A cybernetic cop patrolling the streets of old Detroit should have been a perfect fit for primetime television. RoboCop the series brought the iconic law enforcer to the small screen, complete with futuristic tech, corporate intrigue, and a new cast of allies and enemies. But despite a high-budget production and a full season run, the show failed. What went wrong? Why did the show only last one season? Let's find out. This is the failure of RoboCop the series.
Go ahead and shock the flat line, then let's quit.
Okay, everybody clear.
Officer Alex Murphy shot to death in the line of duty.
Legally, he's dead.
By the early 90s, RoboCop had solidified itself as one of the most iconic cyberpunk franchises in film history. Paul Verhoeven's 1987 classic wasn't just an action movie, it was a brutal, satirical takedown of corporate greed and privatization. The film's mix of hyper-violence, dark humor, and social commentary struck a nerve with audiences, making RoboCop an endearing character beyond its original release. Despite its R rating and intense themes, RoboCop became an unexpected hit with younger audiences, inspiring a line of action figures, animated series, and comic book adaptations that attempted to make the character more accessible to children. As the franchise continued, the sequel struggled to match the brilliance of the first film. By the time RoboCop 3 was released, the franchise had taken a drastic turn. With a new director, Fred Decker, at the helm and a PG-13 rating in place, the film toned down the bloodshed and grim tone in an attempt to cater to a younger demographic. However, the changes alienated longtime fans and resulted in a critical and commercial failure. The once dominant RoboCop brand was now seen as struggling, leading to a reevaluation of how to keep the franchise alive in a changing media landscape. In a bid to recoup losses, Orion Pictures licensed the TV rights to RoboCop to Canada's Skyvision Entertainment to create the television series. Skyvision Entertainment sought to bring a sense of authenticity to the project and entered negotiations with Peter Weller to reprise his role as RoboCop. Unfortunately, these discussions did not materialize, as Weller declined to return. His replacement in RoboCop 3, Robert John Burke, was not considered, leading to the casting of Richard Eden, a lesser-known TV actor. Eden had a background in television dramas, but had never taken on a role that required such precise physical movement and robotic articulation. Due to copyright issues, most of the original film's supporting characters had to be renamed or replaced. Detective Lisa Madigan, Yvette Nipar, served as the new version of Ann Lewis. Sergeant Stanley Parks, Blue Man Kuma, took over the police station role that was originally Sergeant Warren Reed's. The chairman, David Gardner, replaced the original OCP Old Man.
Hey, robot, you are under arrest. The future of law enforcement is here. RoboCop the series.
Monday at 9 on Fox 20.
Producing the series was a costly and logistically complex endeavor. With each episode costing between $1.2 and $1.5 million, it was one of the most expensive syndicated television series of its time. Despite this significant budget, the show faced numerous production challenges, from suit limitations to filming constraints and rushed schedules. The series was primarily filmed in Canada, with CineSpace Studios in Toronto serving as the main production hub. A massive 50,000 square foot permanent set was constructed to replicate old Detroit and OCP headquarters, making it one of the largest television productions in Canada at the time. One of the biggest challenges in the series was the design of the RoboCop suit. Unlike the sleek, metallic look of the film suit, the TV version was bulkier and heavier, significantly restricting movement. Richard Eden, who portrayed RoboCop, had to adjust his performance to compensate for the suit's weight and rigidity, making action sequences difficult to execute smoothly. Additionally, overheating inside the suit was a major issue, requiring frequent breaks during filming. RoboCop's signature Auto 9 firearm, a modified Beretta 93R, had to be redesigned due to Canadian import restrictions on firearms. The show's version of the Auto 9 was lighter and less realistic. Sound effects were also toned down, making the gun feel less intimidating than in the films. Furthermore, due to the show's non-lethal mandate, RoboCop's weapon was often underutilized, diminishing its iconic status. The use of practical effects was significantly reduced, with the show relying more on low-budget CGI and camera tricks instead of the detailed practical effects that had defined the films. Lighting and cinematography were noticeably flatter, as the constraints of TV production limited the level of stylized visuals seen in the original movies.
Detroit's latest model
Go get him, Murphy.
comes fully loaded.
You are under arrest.
RoboCop, the
Unlike the sequels, RoboCop the series ignored the events of RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3, instead serving as a direct continuation of the first film. The show takes place 4 to 5 years after the events of the original movie, with RoboCop still serving as Detroit's top law enforcer under OCP's control. While the movies tackled corporate greed and corruption head-on, the show softened these themes. The OCP chairman was portrayed as naive rather than outright sinister, changing the company's role in the dystopian setting. That being said, the series still included some satirical elements, notably through media break segments and Commander Cash, a corporate superhero mascot who pushed OCP's consumerist propaganda. One of the most notable absences was ED-209, the infamous malfunctioning enforcement droid from the films. Due to licensing issues, the show could not reference or use the character, removing one of RoboCop's most iconic adversaries. The show also attempted to add emotional depth by introducing Gadget, a young girl who served as the station mascot and was taken in by Sergeant Parks. This shifted the show's focus toward a youthful audience, much to the dismay of hardcore RoboCop fans.
It's time for Commander Cash!
The 2-hour pilot episode was partially adapted from a discarded RoboCop 2 script, Corporate Wars, written by Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner, the original writers of RoboCop. However, Neumeier was deliberately kept out of the show's production. He later commented, "They tried to keep me out of the series," and criticized the producers for not understanding the humor required for RoboCop. He believed that the essence of the franchise, its darkly satirical tone, had been lost in the transition to television. Adding to this, RoboCop director Paul Verhoeven openly dismissed the series, stating that the show's creators were too weak to play it straight. Verhoeven's RoboCop had thrived on extreme violence, biting satire, and bleak corporate dystopia, elements that were almost entirely removed from the TV adaptation. These comments from both Neumeier and Verhoeven highlight how RoboCop the series was seen by its original creators as a dilution of the franchise's original vision. However, despite poor ratings and critical reception, the show developed a small but loyal audience. Some viewers appreciated its episodic structure, campy villains, and lighter tone, even if it didn't feel like the RoboCop they remembered.
Legally, he's dead. We can pretty much do what we want.
There's a new guy in town. His name's RoboCop.
With poor ratings, high production costs, and a declining franchise, the series quietly ended after one season. But thanks to home media, merchandise, and its 2021 remaster, it remains a curiosity for die-hard RoboCop fans. If you're looking for a lighter episodic take, it's now easier than ever to revisit. Just don't expect it to be the RoboCop you remember. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content.